Welcome to the SoBeing Podcast. Human doing, human being. Because we need both. We need to be and do. Only listen to this podcast when you can safely close your eyes. If you're operating heavy machinery, driving a vehicle, doing anything that requires your attention, come back to this. There are eyes closed, hypnotic meditation processes during this podcast. Only listen when it's safe to relax completely and make changes deep down inside that last and stay with you. Welcome to SoBeing Podcast Episode 2. And Episode 2 focuses on part of Step 1, releasing and letting go. And this can be the big things as well as those limiting beliefs and blocks that stop you achieving more of what you want. It's time to let go of those. And with this powerful psychological technique from the toolkit of neuro-linguistic programming, we can effortlessly let go of these anxieties, worries, or limiting beliefs and blocks by changing the way we feel about them. And as you prepare yourself to let go of a block that you've held onto for too long, first up, in episode 2 of the SoBeing Podcast, we're kinesthetically letting go those feelings that block us and overtake us sometimes. Things like public speaking can be an overwhelming, almost paralyzing fear. Anxieties, doubts and worries can nag and nag and nag. Limiting beliefs are blocks that stop you moving forward. The kinesthetic, the feeling, the nagging worry feeling. For the last time, think of a limiting belief, a block, a worry, an anxiety that you have, and notice where you feel that feeling. Where does it start in your body? Where can you feel that feeling moving to? How does it move? How does it buzz? How does it twist? How does it turn? Where is the location? What is the shape of that feeling? Where does it spread? If it had a color, what color would that feeling be? And as you allow yourself, maybe for the last time, to feel this feeling, you can notice the color of that feeling. And you know in your mind what the opposite color of that color is. So in a split second, you can change the color to the opposite color and move that feeling, spin it in the opposite direction. Have it start at the other end and come in and spin round and round, so that you move that feeling faster and faster, the opposite way, the opposite color, literally having the opposite feeling now. Spin it faster and faster and expand that color bigger and brighter, wonderful. And that changes the way you feel differently now as you try as hard as you can to think about that old situation where you used to have that unpleasant feeling. Now spin that feeling the opposite way, faster and faster, with the opposite color. So you literally have the opposite feeling as you think about that old thing that you used to worry about. And so the more that you try as hard as you can to have that old feeling, instead spin this new one faster and faster as you imagine seeing and hearing the world when you have this old block gone. Now, open your eyes if you closed your eyes. And we know from cybernetics that no two things can occupy the same space and time. Having the opposite feeling of worry or anxiety whilst you're imagining a situation of anxiety. One of the first times I used this technique with somebody who was scared of a lift, an elevator, wouldn't get in it, had a really phobic response. I asked her where that feeling started, where it moved to. The pit of her stomach is where it started, and it shot up fast throughout her body and went down through her legs. The whole thing like bright white lightning, all the way paralyzing her body. I asked her what the opposite color of bright white paralyzing lightning color was. was. And it was green, a nice, bright, beautiful, rich emerald green. I had her imagine the very ends, the very fine ends of the lightning coming down into the center, all bright green, emerald green. So the feelings came up from her feet and down from the tip of her head into the belly, green, and faster and faster, those bolts of bright green emerald energy came inwards into the center, going the opposite way of the white light that started in the center and shot outwards. The unpleasant fear feeling she had was deliberately reversed. Color changed to green. The feeling, instead of starting in the belly and moving out, started out and came in, and out and in, and out and in, bright and emerald and green. And how different does that make you feel? I asked her as she looked at the lift. I feel great, she said. Let's step in. So we did, and ride to the top floor and down and up and down like a kid on one of those escalators, looking out of the window of the lift at the sights of London. Excited. Wow, I can see these amazing views. She was very excited, surprised, and a couple of times I had her imagine that feeling coming the opposite way, bright emerald, and added that to the feelings of excitement she was enjoying, seeing London in a new light. Since then, she's had no problems ever again inside her lift. Now, even if the next 2 or 3 times she just in her mind had to imagine the green feelings coming from outside going into the middle, spin it faster and faster. After 5 or 10 seconds, she'd step in the lift and save herself many flights of stairs. And she didn't have to. It was done one time. And as you allow, now that you know the structure of how we change the feeling, a block to come to mind, and you can noticing where this block of this belief that stops you or holds you back, a nagging anxiety, a worry, a fear, a paralyzing unpleasantness. And you can notice, and maybe for the first time, you can really notice the shape of that feeling, where it starts and where it moves to. And how fast, or is it a heavy sinking feeling? And what color it would have if it had a color. And that feeling wherever it starts and however it moves, and notice the speed of it, and know that you've felt this feeling for the last time, because the opposite color of this feeling comes to your mind. And as you know what the opposite color is, in an instant change it to the opposite color, move the feeling up in the opposite direction, spin it faster and faster as you think about that old thing that you used to be worried about. Spin it faster and faster as you think about that old thing that used to hold you back, that unpleasant feeling. Spin that feeling faster and faster in the opposite direction, the opposite color, and notice how good that makes you feel, how different, how strange. And plan in the future when you enter a situation that in the past would have caused you the unpleasant feeling, spin it faster and faster in the opposite color, and see yourself in that future moment acting and feeling so different, enjoying and being able to enjoy much more. Spin that good feeling of excitement. Pick another time in the future where you know this old feeling would have come to mind, but now it's going to be different color, different feeling, and feel so good. Now spin that faster and faster. And you can open your eyes if you closed your eyes, and know that in the future, at any moment, if you feel an anxiety or butterflies, something stopping you from doing something you know you need to do. You've just got to take this letter somewhere, do this action, fill in these forms, and there's a block stopping you. Notice that block Notice where it starts, spin it away. You're called on to say some words, a short speech at a wedding or a dinner, a family gathering, and you're not prepared. An anxiety at work, somebody asks you to stand up and speak, and an anxiety, a butterfly feeling. Take the time, a few seconds only, to notice where those feelings are, what they feel like. The butterfly feeling, where it starts in the stomach, what color it is, what's the opposite color of that butterfly feeling, what's the opposite way, spin those feelings the opposite way. Take a deep breath in, stand up and speak. Do the activity, change the way you feel, and it will change how you feel. It's that simple. When you deliberately change the feeling, spin it in the opposite way, then you have the opposite feeling. Now, each week, we take a moment to do a simple 3-step process of releasing and letting go, feeling good and creating and making manifest. And so, as you've just released and let go and maybe learned a brand new technique and way of releasing and letting go, so that in the future you can use this technique and you can allow as a memory note your unconscious just to pop into your mind at a time when it would be useful to use this technique in the future, so that your unconscious agrees with the idea of absorbing all of the positive suggestions that are right for you. Now, as you remember to use this technique and even plan to remember to use it in the future for certain things where you know it will be useful, as well as using it ahead of time to program your mind to be different in certain situations, rather than feeling those old feelings of fear disappear as you replace them with a different color and a good feeling. And imagine the world going wonderfully. You get more of what you focus on, and you get more wonder. Now, if it's safe and appropriate to do so, take a deep breath in. Hold that breath, close your eyes. Relax and feel good, because you've let go and released. And if there are any other things that come to mind, you can spin those feelings away today. Anything that comes to mind as an internal dialogue that holds you back. On that television screen in front of you, the old black and white antique television with tinny little speakers, any limiting beliefs, images, internal dialogues from those old tinny speakers, gone as the power disappears to those old fears, gone as the television screen in your mind that shows you those old limiting beliefs that held you back automatically start to cleanse all of the beliefs that are not good for you, passing them through a filter in your mind. Now, taking the time to choose deliberately to spin the feelings of the uncomfortable feelings in the opposite direction with the opposite color. Imagining worst case scenarios on television screens in the distance in black and white, with a tinny little sound of an internal dialogue, whining in the background, gone. And as you release and let those go, it feels so good. You can take another deep, refreshing, cleansing breath of air. One more deep breath in. yourself to just relax and go deep in a pleasant feeling, a memory of something you're grateful for, a wonderful place that you've been, relaxing and enjoying. Maybe a tropical holiday, a spa, sinking into a warm bath, or simply relaxing in bed. And as you allow yourself to relax from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, waves of relaxation. Now, as you allow a good feeling of gratitude for the time that you're taking right now to change your life by releasing, letting go, feeling good, and consciously creating the future and making manifest your desires. You can feel good about taking the time to make your world and the world for the people around you even better. Now, there are experiences that you've had that make you feel grateful, so grateful. And as you allow those experiences to come to mind and notice those feelings of gratitude, how grateful are you that you've been to some wonderful places, had some amazing experiences, met some amazing and know some incredible people, own things that are so useful. Gratitude for the daily stuff, and gratitude for the big wonderful things. And that good, warm, tingly feeling of gratitude has a color. And if it doesn't, you can give it a color or several as it sparkles and tingles more. And the more that you allow a good feeling of gratitude and pulse that feeling over your body and boost that good feeling of gratitude, the more you allow yourself to be in a good state for create futures, make them manifest as you think of the direction that you want to head into more and more of the wonderful experiences, more and more of the places that you want to go, more and more of the people, and more of the things that you want, that you can use to shape and create your world, and the people around you have more wonderful experiences and times connecting with you, are working on achieving certain things in the future. Those things in the future, you can imagine the highlights, certain activities you're looking forward to, certain goals and successes that you're working forward. And as you look and see a highlight in the future of an achievement of something that you want to do, achieve, create, be, or see, you can float off into that moment in time in the future and imagine being there. Experience from the viewpoint of being in the future how great that feels. How wonderful do you feel? Now, as you allow the images to come to mind of what you would see if you were right there, the internal feelings of excitement, gratitude, happiness, peace, the good feeling to tingle more and more, the internal dialogues, excited, relaxed, happy, the sounds around you, clear, mental imagery coming to mind, clear mind's ear, and good big feelings. And looking out into the future from that moment in time, having already achieved, and how different does it ripple out into the futures bigger and brighter. And as you imagine floating up from this moment in the future and floating back halfway to the present moment, casting an eye, glancing down to that moment in the future where you've already succeeded, and you see yourself out there in the future already doing, having, being, seeing the thing that you want. How good does that make you feel? And as you take a look at this moment halfway between having achieved it and that moment today, you can drop right down into a point halfway between that highlight and the present moment, and look around at the world where you've taken steps. You've achieved, created, the world has unfolded and given you opportunities. You've taken them, you've moved forward, you've achieved half of the highlight. You've got halfway. Now how good does that make you feel as you look out at the completion of this highlight and feel really good? Noticing as you turn and look back towards the future, you can see steps in between the here and the now and the there, and there in your mind behind, right out into the future, has already happened. You've already achieved these results. So wonderful. As you allow yourself right now just to simply float back to the present moment, look along the timeline into the future and see the highlight and a few steps, highlights on the way to that highlight, and other wonderful achieving, bouncing, up-tempo, booming successes out into the futures big and bright and wonderful, knowing that as you take a deep breath in, each day that you focus your mind in a specific way towards the achievements, and you hear big and solid, bright, successful sounds that allow you to know you've achieved those things in the future, with good feelings propelling and moving you towards more of what you want. You get to have more of what you want now. Take another deep breath in. Open your eyes if you haven't already, and in the next episode of the podcast episode 3, step 2, it's all going round in one huge circle of consciously creating, releasing, letting go, feeling good, making manifest, and moving you towards it. Regular activity in the gym, regular yoga practice gets you results. Regular mental exercise gets you results. I'll see you next time in the SoBeing Podcast. This is John Vincent. Till next time, release, let go when it's appropriate with this simple kinesthetic release technique.